The Glenn L. Martin Company was an American aircraft and aerospace manufacturing company that was founded by the aviation pioneer Glenn L. Martin. The Martin Company produced many important aircraft for the defense of the United States and its allies, especially during World War II and the Cold War. Also, during the 1950s and 60s, the Martin Company moved gradually out of the aircraft industry and into the guided missile, space exploration, and space utilization industries. In 1961, the Martin Company merged with the American-Marietta Corporation, a large sand and gravel mining company, forming the Martin Marietta Corporation. Then, in 1995, Martin Marietta merged with aerospace giant Lockheed to form the Lockheed Martin Corporation. History =Origins Glenn L. Martin Company was founded by aviation pioneer Glenn Luther Martin on August 16, 1912. Martin started out building military trainers in Santa Ana, California, and then in 1916, Martin accepted a merger offer from the Wright Company, creating the Wright-Martin Aircraft Company in September. This new company did not go well, and Glenn Martin left it to form a second Glenn L. Martin Company on September 10, 1917. This time it was based in Cleveland, Ohio. World War I Martin's first big success came during World War I with the MB-1 bomber, a large biplane design ordered by the United States Army on January 17, 1918. The MB-1 entered service after the end of hostilities, but a follow-up design, the MB-2, was also proved successful and 20 were ordered by the Army Air Service, the first 5 of them under the company designation and the last 15 as the NBS-1. Although the War Department ordered 110 more, it retained the ownership rights to the design and put the order out for bid. Unfortunately for Martin, the production orders were given to other companies that had bid lower, Curtiss, LWF Engineering, and Aeromarine. The design was the only standard bomber used by the Air Service until 1930 and was used by 7 squadrons of the Air Service Air Corps, 4 in Virginia, 2 in Hawaii, and 1 in the Philippines. Interwar years In 1924 the Martin Company underbid Curtiss for the production of a Curtiss-designed scout bomber, the SC-1, and ultimately Martin produced 404 of these. In 1929 Martin sold the Cleveland plant and built a new one in Middle River, Maryland, northeast of Baltimore. During the 1930s, Martin built flying boats for the U.S. Navy, and the innovative Martin B-10 bomber for the Army. The Martin Company also produced the noted China Clipper flying boats used by Pan American Airways for its Trans-Pacific San Francisco to the Philippines route. World War II During World War II, a few of Martin's most successful designs were the B-26 Marauder and A-22 Maryland bombers, the PBM Mariner and JRM Mars flying boats, widely used for air-sea rescue, anti-submarine warfare and transport. The 1941 Office for Emergency Management film bomber was filmed in the Martin facility in Baltimore, and showed aspects of the production of the B-26. Martin ranked 14th among United States corporations in the value of wartime production contracts. The Martin Company built a total of 531 Boeing B-29 Superfortresses and 1,585 B-26 Marauders at its Omaha, Nebraska, plant at Offutt Field. Among the B-29s manufactured there were all the Silver Plate aircraft, including Enola Gay and Boxcar, which dropped the 2 war-ending atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. Post-war On April 22, 1957, the company name was formally changed to the Martin Company. Post-war efforts in aeronautics by the Martin Company included 2 unsuccessful prototype bombers, the XB-48 and the XB-51, the marginally successful AM Mauler, the successful B-57 Canberra tactical bombers, both the P-5M Marlin and P-6MC Master seaplanes, and the Martin 4-0-4 twin-engine passenger airliner. The Martin Company moved forward into the aerospace manufacturing business, and it produced the Vanguard rocket, which was used by the American space program as one of its first satellite booster rockets as part of Project Vanguard. The Vanguard was the first American space exploration rocket designed from scratch to be an orbital launch vehicle rather than being a modified-sounding rocket or a ballistic missile. Martin also designed and manufactured the huge and heavily armed Titan I and LGM-25C Titan II intercontinental ballistic missiles. Martin Company of Orlando, Florida, was the prime contractor for the U.S. Army's Pershing missile. The Martin Company was also one of 2 finalists for the Command and Service modules of the Apollo program. Unfortunately for Martin, NASA awarded the design and production contracts for these to the North American Aviation Corporation. The Martin Company went further in the production of even larger booster rockets for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the U.S. Air Force with its Titan III series of over 100 rockets produced, including the Titan IIIA, the more important Titan IIIC, and the Titan IIIE. Besides hundreds of Earth satellites, these rockets were essential for the sending to outer space of the 2 space probes of the Voyager project to the outer planets, the 2 space probes of the Viking project to Mars, and the 2 Helios probes into low orbits around the Sun. Finally, the U.S. Air Force required a booster rocket that could launch heavier satellites than either the Titan IIIE or the Space Shuttle. The Martin Company responded with its extremely large Titan IV series of rockets. When the Titan IV came into service, it could carry a heavier payload to orbit than any other rocket except for NASA's Saturn V rocket which was no longer in production and thus was a machine from history. Besides its use by the Air Force to launch its sequence of very heavy reconnaissance satellites, one Titan IV, with a powerful Centaur rocket upper stage, was used to launch the heavy Cassini space probe to the planet Saturn in 1997. The Cassini probe has been in orbit around Saturn since 2004, successfully returning mountains of scientific data. The halting of production of the Titan IV in 2004 brought to an end production of the last rocket able to carry a heavier payload than the Space Shuttle, which itself ended in 2011. The Martin Company merged with the American-Marietta Corporation, a chemical products and construction materials manufacturer, in 1961 to form the Martin Marietta Corporation. In 1995, Martin Marietta, then the nation's third-largest defense contractor, merged with the Lockheed Corporation, then the nation's second-largest defense contractor, to form the Lockheed Martin Corporation, becoming the largest such company in the world. The Martin Company employed many of the founders and chief engineers of the American aerospace industry, including Dandridge M. Cole, moved on as aerospace engineer at General Electric, Donald Douglas, founder of Douglas Aircraft, later as McDonnell Douglas, Lawrence Dale Bell, founded Bell Aircraft, now Bell Helicopter, James S. McDonnell, founded McDonnell Aircraft, later as McDonnell Douglas, J.H. Dutch Kinderberger, CEO and chairman of North American Aviation, Hans Monthrop, concepts used to create NASA's Space Shuttle, C.A. Van Dusen, Brewster Aeronautical Corporation. Martin also taught William Boeing how to fly and also sold him his first airplane. Products Training aircraft Martin T. Martin S., Martin N2M. Bombers and attack aircraft Martin MB-1, Martin NBS-1, Martin XNBL-2, Martin T-3M, Martin T-4M, Martin XLB-4, Martin XT-6M, Martin B-10X B-13015/045, Martin BM-1, Martin BM-2, Martin 146, Martin XB-16, Martin 167 Maryland, Martin B-26 Marauder, Martin B-29 Super Fortress, Martin XB-27, Martin 187 Baltimore, Martin XB-33 Super Marauder, Martin B-35A, Martin AM Mauler, Martin P-4M Mercator. Martin XB-48, Martin XB-51, Martin B-57 under license from English Electric, Martin B-57D Canberra, Martin General Dynamics RB-57F Canberra. Martin 316/XB-68. Reconnaissance and observation aircraft Martin S. Martin Miss, Martin MO, Martin M201, Martin X04. Military seaplanes Martin PM-1, Martin XP-2M, Martin P3M, Martin PM2, Martin PBM Mariner, Martin JRM Mars, Martin PBB1, Martin P5M Marlin, Martin P6M Seamaster, Martin P7M Submaster. Civil aviation airliners equals, Martin 70, Martin M130 China Clipper, Martin M156, Martin 2-0-2, Martin 3-0-3, Martin C Mistress, Martin 4-0-4. Other types of aircraft equals, Naval Aircraft Factory NO. Aircraft engines equals, Martin 333, a 4-cylinder inverted inline piston engine. Missiles and rockets equals, AAMN-4 Oriole, ASMN-5 Gorgon VMGM-1 Matador, MGM-13 Mace, MGM-18 La Crosse, Bold Orion, Titan, SM-68 Titan, HGM-25A Titan ILGM-25C Titan II. Viking booster rockets equals, the 4-stage Vanguard rocket, Titan II GLV Titan III, Titan IIIB, Titan IIIC. Titan IV. In addition, after the removal of 54 Titan IIs from alert status as ICBMs in the mid-1980s, about 50 of them were used as satellite launchers by the U.S. Air Force. The rest of them were either scrapped or used as museum pieces, such as at the Kansas Cosmosphere in Hutchinson, Kansas. See also, Martin State Airport. References. External links, Glenn L. Martin Maryland Aviation Museum, Historic American Engineering Record No. MD 136, Glenn L. Martin Aircraft Company Plant No. 2, 2800 Eastern Boulevard, Middle River, Baltimore County, MD, 3 photos, 5 data pages, 1 photo caption page, HAYONO. MD 136 Glenn L. Martin Aircraft Company Plant No. 2, Administration Building, 3 photos, 1 photo caption page, HAYONO. MD 136B, Glenn L. Martin Aircraft Company Plant No. 2, Assembly Building, 10 photos, 2 photo caption pages, HAYONO. MD 136C, Glenn L. Martin Aircraft Company Plant No. 2, Drop Hammer Building, 2 photos, 1 photo caption page, HAYONO. MD 136D, Glenn L. Martin Aircraft Company Plant No. 2, Paint Shop, 1 photo, 1 photo caption page,